Hello, and welcome to the next session of Following the Money, the video recording series for providing residents a solid foundation of knowledge for understanding the City of Sausalito's budget process and the fiscal year 15-16 adopted budget. Previous Following the Money video recorded sessions can be found by going to the city's website and clicking through to the Finance Department webpage, Administration, Finance, clicking on budgets, and here's the series Following the Money, a resident engagement series on the budget process. The introductory video is here, and the first episode, What is a City Budget, can be found by clicking here. And here you will find the video recording and the transcript of the video recording. Today's session is on how to use the city's budget transparency tool, OpenGov, which can be found by going to the Finance webpage and clicking on Fiscal Transparency Tool. There's a user guide on how to use OpenGov, and it can be downloaded here. Of course, the easiest way to get to OpenGov is just by bookmarking this URL, sausalitoca.opengov.com. And the first time you come to the page, you'll get a welcome screen that describes the basic functionality, the reports, the exports, and the legends. There are some how-to use the OpenGov site documents, and there's a Budget 101 document on this site. I encourage you to read them if you're here for the first time. After you get to be an experienced user, you'll get started, and this will be the screen that you come to. Now, what you are looking at here is a visualization of all city expenditures for all funds, departments, and line items, and these are from audited financial statements, which can be downloaded here by clicking this link for every fiscal year from 2003 all the way from 2014. Now, the lightly shaded areas here on the right are the fiscal year 14-15 adopted budget and the projected second year budget that was adopted with the first year budget. Notice what happens as you move your mouse over every department. A pop-up box appears that says, here's the amount for that department and what percentage that department is of the total city expenses for that year, as well as the change from the previous fiscal year. The pop-up box appears as you hover over every department. If you want to see the raw data, just click on the summary table, and the raw data for this chart, visualizations, appears. You can save the image, or you can save the table, or you can download this information into an Excel spreadsheet for your use and whatever other calculations that you would like to make. At any point in time, you can share this information on Facebook, Google, Twitter, or by email, because each visualization has a unique URL when you email that version. It gives the URL is included, and whoever clicks on it will get that exact same link. When you come to the site, you'll see that there are some saved views. These are frequently asked questions, such as, what are the general fund revenues by type? Click on there, and the graph changes. Or, what are the general fund's expenses by expense type? And the graph will change. You can even ask, what were the city's pension costs? And a graph will appear there showing the total of pension costs. Now, this graph requires some explanation. The fire department was annexed by the city, and there are some one-time payoffs of side funds, but that's for another session. At any point in time, it's easy to get back to where you started by clicking the reset button. Now, the real power of this tool, though, lies in the filters. So let's click on filters. You're now able to quickly change the data from looking at expenses by departments to revenues by departments, or revenues by revenue type, taxes, transfers, rental, or revenues by funds, general fund, governmental funds, general fund, capital projects, special revenue funds, all the different special revenue funds. So quickly, lastly, you can look at revenue and expenses for all funds. And I should mention at this point how easy it is to change the graphs. You can change to a bar graph. You can change to a pie graph. Notice when you slide the pie, the percentage and amounts change. You go to a line graph, or you can go to a stacked area graph, or a percentage graph. Hit reset. You might be interested in looking at, for a particular piece of information. Let's say you're interested in overtime in the police department. You click on police department, change the view to expense type, find salaries, and go to overtime. Now that was a lot of clicks. So let's go to reset and try to find it a different way. Let's just first expand all filters. And under expense type, just click overtime. You'll see that overtime appears. You can click on that. And now we just want to click on the police department. And voila, there's the overtime expenditures for the city, for the police department, for the prior 11 fiscal years. We can quickly change the view back by expanding out and saying, well, what's overtime for all the city by departments? And now you can see the spending for overtime for all city departments. Let's restart. One more feature before we move on to the other OpenGov reports. This tool is powerful because not only can you look at expenditures by department or by expense type or by line item, like we did before. This goes down all the way to the line item. But we can actually go down to the transaction level. For example, let's find the recreation department. Change the view to expense type. Look at recreation programs and expenses. And find chili cook-off. Once we're there, we can now look at every transaction that occurred for each fiscal year for the chili cook-off. For example, in fiscal year 14, a check was written for $13.95 through the kill card for wristbands. $500 was given to John Paul Moore for cook-off sound engineering. Other charges through the kill card were for bean bags, refund spoons, cups, spoons, ribbons. So you can drill down and get all the detail for every city line item throughout the city budget. Well, in the filters, let's hit reset. Again, the power of this tool is all of the city's complete chart of accounts and all the data of every financial transactions are stored in the cloud for you for total fiscal transparency. Well, that concludes the first session of this two-part session for today's How to Use the OpenGov tool. And please come back for the second session to learn about the other reports, balance sheet, budget to actual, how we're preparing the fiscal year 15-16 budget, for a good look at the long-term financial plan, how to use the treasurer's report, and finally, the transaction view, which is every transaction, every debit and credit that has run through the city system from 2003 through March of 2015. I look forward to our next session, and please, as always, please call me or email me with your questions.